Crush decided not to put up a futile resistance. So did you finish talking? Zayusu and Zenbul nodded to each other. Pretty much. They wanted to talk alone, so they asked Crush to leave. Their bluntness about it had left her no choice. She went to get food, but really, she had wanted to participate in the conversation. If it was about the upcoming war, she was involved too. She wanted to hear a summary, even if they didn't tell her anything awkward, but Zenbul indifferently cut off that possibility. Just male stuff. Her offense showed plainly on her face, but since she had no other choice, she changed the subject. So what are you going to do? Are you going to join the alliance and fight with us? Yeah, of course we were going to fight. We were going to fight even if you guys didn't show up. He emitted a sound like pieces of dry wood bumping together. Wow. You awfully war crazy, huh? Don T compliment me. ILL blush. Paying no attention to Crush's disgust, he nonchalantly asked her for a favor. Oh right, plant monster, you have to convince Zayusu. I told him a zillion times he should be chief, but he won't listen. Zayusu twisted his expression into a dead, tired wince. He looked so exhausted she could tell they'd gone over this repeatedly while she was gone. He can do that. He from another tribe, and he a traveler. She remembered Zenbul was too, and changed the subject. Why did you want to go traveling? It was just such a shock to lose to the guy who used to own Frost Pain. I wanted to get stronger, and I wanted to find out what else was out there. That's why I became a traveler. Next to him, Zayusu's shoulders suddenly drooped. Crush remembered the stories of his travels that she heard on their way over. What had kept Zayusu going during his journey were his resolution, determination, and sense of mission for his tribe. He must have thought this male, who was a traveler like him, had felt similarly, but Zenbul didn't seem to have a shred of those sentiments. Crush put a gentle hand on his shoulder to comfort him. Yes, him and you, she thought. Then she realized that anyone looking at them would probably think they were lovers. Her tail started twisting around wildly. Zayusu's tail went totally crazy too. Without thinking, they looked at each other and grinned, blushing. Zenbul continued in high spirits without paying them any attention. I thought there'd be some strong guys up on that mountain, because it's just so huge. And the dwarves I met there taught me all kinds of things, you know. They gave me that spear too. I didn't think I needed it. But once they said to take it as a symbol of our meeting, I couldn't really refuse. Good for you, Crush replied. Her reply was a little careless or perhaps cold. Thanks. The sarcasm didn't even get through. Crush, whose good mood had been ruined, knocked back her drink. Her throat grew hot, and once the liquid settled to her stomach, the heat spread throughout her body. Zayusu drank in the same way. Then there came an extremely low voice. The quietness was at odds with the light-hearted conversation they had been having. For a moment, they weren't even sure who had spoken. So, do you think we can win? Zayusu answered in an equally quiet voice. I don't know. Well, yeah, how would you? There are no sure wins. If someone shouted about how we could win when we don't even know the enemy's strength, I'd punch his lights out. Don't just say whatever, buddy. Crush said nothing to Zenbul as he softly laughed. But our opponent is being careless. Our chances will probably depend on how that plays out. They could practically see the question forming in Zenbul's head, so Crush stepped in for Zayusu to explain. Do you remember what the monster said? Sorry, I was asleep at the time, but you must have heard from someone. It was complicated, so I forgot it. Anyhow, if they come to attack us, we just have to beat them at their own game. That's the important part, right? Crush's face showed she had given up explaining. Zayusu picked up where she left off with an annoyed smile. This is what he said put up a frantic resistance. Zenbul's face twisted into a horrible grimace, full of unpredictable emotions. That pisses me off, they treating us like we beneath them from the start. He let out a dangerous growl. Intense anger and disgust swirled around him. Yeah, they totally making light of us. That's how confident they are. They think they have the force to break any resistance of ours, no problem. He continued. So we'll crush that arrogance. We'll gather the 5 tribes together and show them the greatest power we can muster. First, we'll slap them upside the head to show them we not half-assing it. Sounds good. Now you speaking my language. As the 2 males started to get excited about the upcoming battle, Crush spoke, like a bucket of cold water. I don't see that many benefits to mutilating their pride. Isn't it fine to just do enough to prove our worth? If they understand that we worth something, maybe they'll decide not to kill us all. Whoa, whoa, you bow your head to these hateful bastards. Hey, Zayusu, I understand the danger of evacuating, but I'd rather be alive and in chains than dead, Crush murmured. Neither of them could refute her or mock her for having a servile nature. None of them wanted to get conquered. But there was still more of a future that way than dying in the fight. If they had a future, they still had a chance. For example, if they shared the fish farming technology, they could abandon this place and all flee. Anyone who would order someone to throw away that possibility and die wasn't fit to rule. Listen for a second. At Zayusu's quiet suggestion, everyone listened to the sounds of happy laughter on the breeze from the banquet. If they conquer us, we might not be able to throw parties like this, but maybe we could, right, I wonder. I doubt it. Those guys seem like they want to enjoy watching us die. I doubt they'll show any mercy. If they had even a tiny bit of kindness, they wouldn't come to kill us for kicks. Yes, right, Crush nodded. But still, what I am trying to say is don't die. Oh, I won't die, not until I hear back from you. Crush and Zayusu regarded each other seriously beneath the night sky, and they made a promise. Zenbul, sitting right there, looked astonished. Intermission in the meeting room behind him. They were probably already turning to a new issue. His role in that room was finished, so he had left. Of course, he had other roles besides report giver. Now he had to perform the various tasks surrounding the resurrections of his comrades. He also had to fill the temporary membership hole by appointing someone new. In other words, his work as the first seat, that is, captain of the Black Scripture, was waiting for him. He also had training and experiments to do. The 6 scriptures were secret organizations, so he had an undercover life in the theocracy as well. In his personal life, he also had marriage arrangements to make with multiple women. Currently, there were only 3 awakened demigods in the slain theocracy. The higher-ups were therefore ordering him to leave behind lots of children. With all those things piled up, he had precious little free time. Still, I hope they'll let me relax for today. Feeling liberated after the high priest meeting the highest meeting in the slain theocracy, he rotated his shoulders. A clicking noise caught his attention. He knew who was making the sound before he saw her. Even among slain theocracy citizens, only a few were allowed in here. If he recalled who wasn't in the meeting room, the answer was obvious. As he expected, there was a girl leaning against the wall. Strangely, her longish hair was a different color on each side. One side of her was a striking silver, the other was so black it seemed to suck everything in. Her eyes were also each a different color. Next to her rested a war scythe that resembled a cross spear, leaning against the wall. She looked so young, probably still in her early teens, but her true age was quite different. She hadn't changed at all since he assumed the first seat of the Black Scripture. His eyes moved to her ears, hidden by her hair, then stopped. He knew she hated her ears. Her glossy lips curled up, as if she had read his thoughts. She was born a mix of 2 bloods, a nearly impossible combination. She was the strongest member of the Black Scripture, the additional seat, called No Death, No Life. She served as the guardian of this sacred place where the armaments of the 5 pillar gods were laid to rest. The soft noises came from a toy she was playing with. This toy, called a Rubik Cube, was popularized by the 6 gods in the slain theocracy. Her voice reached him, mingled with the clicks of the toy. It's easy to get one side, but it's hard to get 2, you know. It wasn't very hard for him, but he hesitated to say so and just grinned at her. It seemed like she didn't really want a response anyhow. She continued, not seeming to think anything of his silence. What the heck happened here that the high priests would meet? I think you've already received the report. I haven't read it, she replied flatly. Besides, it's easier to hear the situation from someone who knows. Was Star Reader's second sight's reading wrong? You sorted to dominate the catastrophe Dragon Lord, and then what? Their eyes didn't meet even once while they spoke. She was focused on her toy the whole time. We lost 2 men and had one critically injured in a fight with some unknown type of undead similar to a vampire. So we retreated. Who died? He didn't detect even a hint of emotion in her question, despite the deaths in her squad. It was like she was hearing a story that had happened in a far-off place. He didn't think anything of it. It was an appropriate attitude for her to take. Cedron was protecting Lady Kea. Omachai's tried to restrain the vampire when it had stopped moving. Giant shield, perfect wall, and godly realm iron ties, with the Shrine Princess of Earth dying in some mysterious explosion and the Black Scripture losing 2 members, we were having pretty bad luck. Who got injured? Lady Kaya. It seems like a curse. Her wound wouldn't heal with magic, so we retreated. So what happened to the vampire? It is still there. If we tried to restrain it or even approach it, it prepared to attack. We figured leaving it there was the best option. So the problem is not solved then. We decided during the meeting just now to hang back. That was the conclusion they reached in that room. Rather than risk bigger losses by messing it up, they would leave it there until they had built up their strength for combat. There was probably no one in any other country who could beat that undead creature. If there were, they would need to be cautious of its power. They would also need to prepare their national defenses. They had decided to leave the bare minimum number of agents. The rest would withdraw. He agreed, at least in part. Only demigods and dragon lords could probably face that vampire head-on and win, so it was smarter to leave it there as an alarm. They should be on guard against whoever killed it. It can be a vampire, he agreed. That was why he had called it some unknown type of undead. Is it not a dragon lord? The vampiric dragon lord or the elder coffin dragon lord? The edges of her lips turned up farther into a clear smile, if such a brutal expression could be a smile. Both of them are already dead, you know, he said, sensing a chill in the air. She replied immediately, they were both undead. We don't know that they were really gone. She raised her head for the first time and met his gaze squarely. Curiosity, joy, and the urge to do battle shone in her different-colored eyes. Between me and the vampire, who do you think is stronger? He had anticipated this question, so he gave the response he prepared in advance. You. Oh, she seemed to lose interest and went back to her toy. He gave a sigh of relief in his head. That is too bad. I thought I could learn what it is like to lose. Listening to her mutter, he wondered who would really be stronger if they clashed. He'd been hit by both of them, and from his experience, he would guess the vampire would be declared the winner. But actually, the vampire could never win against no death, no life. The reason was their gear. The vampire didn't seem to be equipped with anything. That was the weakness of powerful monsters. They had so much confidence in their abilities that they didn't think to equip powerful gear. In comparison, no death, no life equipment was made up of pieces left by the 6 gods. That was why he could declare her stronger, but if that advantage disappeared, that could never happen. He rejected the idea as soon as it occurred. It would be impossible to find gear equal to hers, the gods, so if it were possible, that could be the day the slain theocracy is strongest, the additional seat, lost. It would be the day they faced the despair of the protector of humanity's defeat. Wait, why am I assuming she would have to fight alone? I may not be as strong as her, but I am an awakened demigod. I have some items we could use. If we took advantage of all that, surely we'd be able to take out one undead, even if it was immensely powerful. There can be a bunch of them if they ray that strong. Lost in thought, he heard a giggle. He twisted his face into a quizzical frown and eyed its source. Here's a different topic. When are you going to get married? It was an unresolved topic from the meeting. When would he find a suitable woman, to put it nicely, a fiancée to put it less nicely, a tool for reproducing? There isn't anybody. Well, you're still young, so I guess it can be helped. Members wore magic masks to give them fake faces while conducting black scripture business. In the slain theocracy, adulthood was prescribed by the gods at age 20, but when he took off his mask, he was far younger than that. If you get married, she'll end up on the dark side of the theocracy, too, but you don't have to worry about it. She'll still get to raise your kids. I know that. Some people are already doing it in the scriptures. I see. Oh, but you should make sure to tell her you'll be marrying another woman besides just her. Polygamy isn't a problem legally, but some people hate it even though they've been taught that. Polygamy was allowed in the slain theocracy if one had permission from the state. It was a vestige of a past historical custom. This custom was born from a need to maintain pure bloodlines of the few powerful citizens available. Still, the majority of marriages were monogamous. Only a handful of polygamous cases were approved per year. Even when approved, the limit was 2 wives. Thanks for the kind advice. And what about you? Are you not getting married? She did look young, but he was asking because he knew she was really older. If there was a guy who could defeat me, I'd demarry him no matter how ugly he was. I'd demarry him no matter how twisted his personality was, even if he wasn't human. Imagine a guy who could defeat me. I wonder how strong our kid would be with a hand on her lower abdomen, she replied with her first ear-to-ear grin of the day. He was sure she had no intention to marry. But what if someone who could defeat that vampire appeared? A slight uneasiness flickered across his mind. Oh, hey. We can see it now. Seated behind the other two on Rororo, Zenbul grinned at the scene ahead. A few hundred yards in front of them, the first village home of the Razortail tribe was coming into view. It was about the same size as the Green Claw village, but it looked bigger. Probably lizardmen from other tribes were gathering there. They were in the middle of preparing for the war, so anyone working was moving in a hurry. I can't get enough of this atmosphere. Zenbul inhaled sharply through his nose and sniffed the air. The smell got his blood pumping and invited even more excitement. Meanwhile, Crush, who had probably never smelled anything like it before, had a different impression from the males. Isn't it dangerous to ride in on Rororo like this? Currently dressed in plant monster garb, she was anxious about the tension she could sense from so far away. She was afraid that if they approached on the Hydra, the agitated lizardmen might charge at them. They might know Zayusu's face, but not Crush S or Zenbul S, and besides, just because some of the Razortail tribe members knew him didn't mean they all did. No, it's the opposite. We ray safe precisely because we ray on Rororo. Crush looked puzzled. Well, he couldn't see her face, but she certainly seemed puzzled, so he gave a simple explanation. My brother should be here already. If he is, he definitely told them we were coming on Rororo. They probably already told him they saw us. All we have to do is take our time approaching. In fact, as Rororo continued across the marsh, a single black lizardman appeared. Zayusu waved at the familiar figure. That's my brother. Oh, they reacted in unison, Crush with pure curiosity, Zenbul like a beast who had discovered another powerful animal. As Rororo advanced, the distance between the two brothers shrank. Eventually they grew close enough that they could make out each other's faces. It had been only 3 days since they'd seen each other, but when they had parted ways, both had braced for the possibility that they would never meet again. Needless to say, it was an emotional reunion. Hey, you made it, little brother. Yes, and I bring good news, brother. Shasryu looked at the two behind his brother. Zayusu felt Crush's arms around him stiffen a bit. Rororo stopped right in front of Shasryu, recognizing him, and stretched out his 4 heads for some affection. Sorry, but I didn't bring any food. Hearing that, Rororo sulkily pulled his heads away. Of course, the Hydra couldn't understand the lizardman language. He must have worked it out through what could be called family understanding. Or maybe he just didn't smell any food. Okay, let us get down, Zayusu said over his shoulder to the other two before hopping nimbly off. Then he reached out and took Crush's hand. Shasryu's eyes paused on her as she got down, and he frowned suspiciously. What's that plant monster? Crush slumped a bit at receiving the same reaction once again, but she didn't bother objecting. Her current apathy was probably thanks to Zenbul, but even she wasn't ready for the bomb Zayusu dropped. She's the female I am in love with. Ah, Shasryu emitted a sigh of wonderment and turned his shameless gaze on Crush, who was petrified and still holding Zayusu's hand. MPH, well, there's only one thing I want to ask. Is she pretty under there? Yeah, I am thinking of marrying her, NGH. A sudden pain in his hand made Zayusu shut his mouth. Crush had dug her claws into it hard. Shasryu observed the pair with a dazed expression. I see, so you like the pretty ones. What was all that about? Oh, I can get married. You were just trying to act so cool. You simply didn't have the right person. Anyhow, I am chief of the Green Claw tribe, Shasryu Shasha. I am grateful to you for becoming our ally. His tone brooked no disagreement because of the nature of their coming together, but Crush and Zenbul had no need to be shaken by him now. Likewise, I am acting chief of the Red Eye tribe, Crush Lulu. Everyone thought Zenbul would reply after Crush, but contrary to their expectations, his greeting didn't come. He showed no restraint as he blatantly appraised Shasryu. Perhaps satisfied, he nodded and spoke with a feral expression. So you Ray the one, huh? The warrior can fight with the powers of a priest. I've heard the rumors. I am surprised they've spread as far as Dragon Tusk, Shasryu replied. They acknowledged each other's presence like two wild animals. I am the chief of Dragon Tusk until your little brother is ready to step in. Zenbul Gugu, so good of you to come. I welcome you as a worthy chief for a tribe that prizes strength above all. Speaking of which, do you want to have a quick fight? Don T, you think it will be easier to talk if we know who is strongest? I'm not opposed to it. Zayusu wasn't T about to stop him. He figured it would be useful to know in various situations going forward. Before they could begin, however, Shasryu held up a hand to curb Zenbul's urge to fight. But it's kind of a bad time. Or, see Moon. Shasryu grinned at Zenbul's discontent. The ones who are out on patrol will be back pretty soon. Then we should know some details about the enemy.